All right, good morning, guys, and welcome back to Coffee with Toffees, the morning show for gamers by gamers, counting on covering everything that is Dota 2 and a little bit beyond. My name is Toffees. As always, you can follow me at Toffees_Dota 2 for updates on upcoming shows, games, casting, all kinds of great stuff. I promise it's a good time. So a couple of updates for you before we introduce our two special guests, and there's some good ones for you here today. First, the one I need to mention is that Baby Toffee's update. He is about 5 days overdue right now, which means that at any point we could be signing out early and heading to the hospital. So just be aware of that in case it happens. That brings us to number 2, and that is that this may be the last show till at least Wednesday, possibly Friday, as we are set to induce, if needed, on Sunday afternoon. So as a rule, I try not to broadcast morning shows from my wife's hospital room. So that means that we're going to be on a small hiatus for Coffee with Toffees. Nothing crazy, but it's going to be hard for you to get your fix. So just a heads up on that. Podcast won't be out on Monday for sure. So that said, let me introduce you to the two guests that we have today. First, guest number 1 is a man you've probably heard of if you follow Pro Dota, if you love the casting scene, especially in Europe. It is Pimp Muckle, joining us today all the way from Germany. How are you doing today, sir?
Oh, pretty good, and just let me know if my sound is not good, because then I'm gonna switch mics and actually slam down my windows because someone is drilling outside a whole freaking door right through the earth. It feels like sometimes I can just hop in there and go back to Australia actually.
So there you go. So this just in, you heard it here first. Tunnel from Germany to Australia underway, but you sound fine, my friend, that robust German voice that we love to hear so much. And we're joined by our second guest as well, Feeder Noob, the queen of cosmetics, as it were. How are you doing today, Feeder? All right, Feeder, make sure you unmute your mic when you chat about how you're doing. That said, it looks like Feeder unable to say, so we're just going to leave her until Cosmetic Corner's feature a little bit later and see if we can't work out the tech issue there. That said, let's talk a little bit about, so for those of you who don't know Pimp, which is crazy if you don't at this point, he's one of the hottest up-and-coming casters on the scene. You're independent contractor right now, right? Except so you're not doing some of the joined Dota Studio or the BTS, but he's got massive tournaments. He's the official caster for the BH series over on Hitbox, as well as the EMC, both with prize pools that could probably, EMC for sure, over 60,000. It's going to get bigger. BH over 15,000 per miniature tournament. So some big stuff. And if you haven't seen Pimp, make sure you follow him so that you see those games, because they're really good ones. And it really helps a lot to be following on Twitter, because that'll direct you in the right direction. So that said, let's talk about pro news. First thing in pro news that I want to talk about is Stay Green signs with Complexity Gaming. So I'm going to pull that up on the screen for those of you who are watching the live show right now. Stay Green signs with Complexity. Complexity, for those of you who don't know, is an organization that was in Dota 2 once upon a time. It was in Han very strongly for a long time. Is still in League of Legends and I believe CSGO. And now they are back in Dota 2, and their lineup is as follows. They're going to have Limp, Z-Freak, Swindle Melons as the captain, Moon Meander, who most of us are familiar with at this point, and Riser. Interesting points are, of course, that Moon Meander and I believe it was Riser, were both part of Han Complexity, made the move over, and immediately formed the team. So they had some pre-connections. That said, have you had a chance to look at the Stay Green team? Do you have any opinions on the team, either of you guys?
Well, the thing is, for me at least, I didn't follow them too much, because when Fnatic went over to Dota, I kind of went as well. It was like after TI2 or something. So personally, I would say it's great that I can actually see them. I just saw a few of them, and especially Chessie was really amazing on his jungling. So yeah, well, and he's going to be with Alliance now. So I'm looking forward to see those guys. Moon, as well as, who was it? I mean, Limp. So for me personally, I saw a few games. I casted them a few games. Moon was pretty solid.
Yeah.
Which is something some people didn't know or didn't expect, because he was known to throw a lot in his on day. So he was playing pretty good. And also, of course, Z-Freak support plays were pretty spot on. So I'm certainly looking forward to see those guys, because the NAC needs a few up-and-coming teams. They really do.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's going to add to the NA grouping, which is nice to see some more NA teams developing. Moon Meander, I remember when him and Bloody Nine and B-Kid actually came over from Han, one of the first nights that they showed up on the scene. They played in SECS, a tournament I was casting, and I was shocked at how comfortable the Han guys were transitioning over Dota 2. Literally, I think they had been playing for 2 weeks, and their team went all the way to the finals, or the semifinals. So either way, they were a top 4 team in their first 2 weeks of Dota, and that was a pretty impressive transition. So I expect to see them do great things in the Dota 2 world. That said, I think they're very clearly going to have to start out as a tier 2 team and work their way up, much the same way that we saw Navi US, not Navi, SNA do before they sort of started to get considered to be towards the top of that tier 2, which is a show for another time, but we do need to talk about at some point whether or not SNA is going to get a sponsorship with their new Liquid 4.0 roster. But we'll stick to Stay Green for the moment. So that's Stay Green. Second piece of news to keep right. Second news to keep updated on is the secret roster was revealed. I said I would talk about it today on Wednesday's show. And the secret roster is officially, and they played yesterday, so we know it's official. Puppy, No-Tail, S4, Kuroki, and Simboon. Basically, all 5 of these players well known, 4 of them more than the other, for most of us. That said, they had their first appearance in Pimp. You said you got to watch one of the games. Tell me what you think about the team and maybe how they did.
Well, I only catch 2 of the Tiny Wisp games, and there it was interesting to see how the team coordination worked, I have to say. Fly as well as Puppy together didn't really work out that well, and it makes sense because they didn't play together at all. So far everyone is like giving them a bit of grief, but I talked to Sun Tzu, who is an editor for On Game Is Net. He's an esports journalist, and he was like, guys, it's fine. Alliance, they had 2 weeks of scrims so far, and the secret team had 2 days.
Yeah.
So obviously, like, there's so much more to come, and Puppy has experience. Fly as well. This guy has been around in the Han scene, in the Dota scene for ages. No-Tail's Wisp, still insanely good. And then Kurokai should be going up to the 1 position, which is interesting. And they're going to swap around a lot. This is why I think this matchup, like this lineup, is going to be really interesting to see. They're going to swap around all of their roles a lot, depending on what they pick. And this is why they're going to be really interesting to deal with. I don't think you can actually outpick them, but they need to find, of course, a bit of training. Sure, but, give them 2 weeks.
Absolutely. I mean, what team could you ask to be put together? And honestly, when you talk about things in the world of Dota 2 or in gaming that are important for specifically Dota especially, you talk about understanding your last hits, you talk about lane management, you talk about understanding the pace of the game, you talk about drafting. But the thing we don't talk about nearly enough is the synergy and the masterful play between players in the same team. And that's something that takes time to develop. So with Secret Roster, we saw them do well without tons of practice together. So just like Pimp said, I'm excited to see what they do over the next couple of months if this roster, A, stays solid, because we saw from Team Tinkerino that doesn't always happen, and B, if they put the work in. And these guys are all great players. I can honestly go on record and say Kuroki is the guy that I learned to play support by just watching ridiculously, constantly, addicted to after TI3. So I'm excited to see what they do. I think it's going to be a great team. The synergy has to get built up, though, and once that's there, mark my words, I think they move into a really comfortable Tier 1 position. So that's the secret roster. Next big news that came out, which is terrible for a lot of fans, I think. Big Daddy and Fly leave Fnatic. Remember, Era walked away a little, I think it was last week or the end of the week before, and now that leaves Fnatic with a very, very small roster. Is this the death of a fan favorite? Right? I mean, that's a tough one.
That's a tough one. So maybe all good things come to an end, right? And they were playing together for like ages, like 4 years or something.
And that's why the fans, I think, loved them. They were together. They were a great team. I mean, every photo. I'm going to pull up the goodbye that the Fnatic parts way with Big Daddy and Fly. You can get it on Fnatic.com. They did a little goodbye, thanks for being with us featurette. But it's covered with pictures of the guys hugging and being happy and taking photos together. And literally, not only were they considered one of the most popular teams in Fnatic, they were considered one of the best-looking teams in Dota 2, which I thought was hilarious that they won that.
Yeah.
Though very true, good-looking group of guys. That said, though, a lot of fans loved them. They loved them because of their passion, they loved them for how long they were together, and they loved them for the way that they played with a sense of fun, right? Big Daddy, the king of the trolls in the interviews, if you watched any of his TI interviews, he never took anything seriously, and it sort of appealed to people. And I know a lot of fans who love Fnatic and are going to be heartbroken as the team breaks up. The question is, will there be a reunite? Do you think that they'll try to find their way back together? Or is it just going to be kind of go your own way and do your own thing?
No, I don't think so. It's like when you're staying together for 4 years, sometimes you get a bit tired of each other. You need to have some sort of break, and they took that break. It's not like they were staying together for like 4 years in a straight line. It's more like they play together. Now it's time to have a change. Now it's time to try new things. And the new Fnatic roster, and I don't know if I'm supposed to talk about this, but this is going to be having a really sick Finnish superstar on his Meepo. So this is a Meepo player who's been playing in the Finnish Assembly. You can definitely check out the replays. I try to get those up maybe after the show.
Okay.
Can't promise, but you know I'll try. And this means this is going to be a new Fnatic roster, so they're going to try this. And I really doubt that Notel as well as Fly are going to be coming back, because Fly can't play one position or any sort of core role on Fnatic because Hani isn't that comfortable on a 4 position.
Right.
We saw him play Urshek sometimes, and it always felt okay.
Right.
But nothing like what you want to see from Fnatic. You know, this
Right.
is like, there's just this little bit of oomph. It's not there, you know.
It's the pro players. The pro players are great, and they're really good at their roles, and they're better than most of us at every other role. But when you watch them against the other pros, especially in those games, you're right. There's this little lack of that moment of timing or familiarity with the actual position, and I see that absolutely. So you said there might be a Finnish player who's a master of Meepo joining the Fnatic roster. Is that what I just heard you say?
Yeah.
All right. So are you allowed to give us the name of the Finnish player?
Wow, I can't spell it. I think it is like Buntaman or something.
Okay.
It's really Finnish. Like, I have no idea.
Absolutely. Well, hey, it's exciting. We'll have to check it out. So this could be your first reveal of a possible change to the Fnatic roster for you fans. So that's pretty exciting for you guys. That said, though, that's really the pro news as it stands. Feeder Noob, did you have any opinions about any of those changes to those rosters we brought up?
Well, is my mic working now?
Yes, it does.
Wow, great. I did notice there's a raffle going on to change someone's icon from Fnatic on Reddit, so people are pretty upset about it. But personally, I think it's good for the players to change and grow, so I'm excited to see what they do.
Yep, have the availability to go where they want to, and that's really what we love about the esports scene is the flexibility and the players free to kind of do their thing. So off they go. I think it's a good choice for them, not so much for all of us as fans, but I'm sure they'll land on their feet and we'll get to watch them in other places. All right, Dota 2 news. Moving on to our next segment. A couple of things here that you need to know. iLeague moved their actual tournament championship from the 25th to the 25th through 28th of September to avoid clashing with the WEC, which is September 5th through 7th. Both, I should say, previously stated that they had no intention of moving their tournament. So WEC stands their ground, iLeague blinks, moves their dates. Now, this is something that we had talked about a little bit with Nahaz last week on tournament oversight, maybe a governing body like a FIFA for Dota in some capacity. The question is, iLeague blinked out of desperation, I think, because WEC started to solidify their team rosters pretty aggressively. The question is, would an oversight group have prevented something like this from even happening, from having a standoff by two giants in the Dota scene? Do you think oversight would have helped a little bit with that, or is it something that phooey, not interested?
Can I say something to this?
That's absolutely.
Because I totally want to shoot in Nahaz's ballpark right now. The thing is, Ace is pretty much exactly what Nahaz wants to have for the Western scene, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we see this worked once. Right here, it worked once. Now, I wasn't personally involved with Ace because we were trying to get Chinese teams to the EMC Cup, EM Cup, Excel Moscow Cup. Here we go, not EMC. We're not Cup of Pain, you know. And it was so hard to talk to them because they are like, you talk to us about a Chinese team. You're not gonna talk to the teams.
Interesting.
Because we rule about the team, so we can't even go to like LGD and be like, hey LGD, you guys are like really awesome, talk to Ruru, ask if they want to like participate in a small qualifier, like 4 teams or something. No, we had to talk to Ace. So seriously, this makes me really mad, because not only does Ace try to oversight this shit, no, they also fail at this, and now they're gonna come with a jackhammer and they try to push iLeague down there. So what they do is, now they tell iLeague to get the fuck out, to move to the 28th. And guess what we have? We have EMC LAN finals in Moscow, 26th, 27th.
Oh wow!
So I'm really pissed about this.
That is. I didn't realize that. So that's frustrating.
Jeez.
So, and this does bring
That's
up an
fine.
interesting
It's
point.
like time zones.
Well, it does bring up an interesting thing with oversight, right? There's two kinds of oversight. There's something like they're running over there, where it's a very we take care of everything for the organizations, which maybe is a bit too draconian. It reminds me a lot of the way League of Legends does their league system. Or what we look at with something maybe like a FIFA or a U.S. sports management process like the NFL, which is a conglomeration of owners or powerful people in the business who help manage rules, who help manage the idea of what is and isn't allowed in the sport, for instance, trade caps, trading periods, things of that nature, but allow the teams to make their own decisions. So that's an interesting dichotomy. Another thing to maybe take to a roundtable discussion of, do we want solid oversight, which could cause problems like Pimp just brought up, or do we look at something that's a bit more fluid and just helps to sort of regulate the details of a very crazy amorphous industry? So a really interesting insight we hadn't planned on having, but I'm glad that we brought that up, Pimp. That was really good. Second piece of news we want to get to, eSportal has announced a $100,000 tournament with, and you ready for this, open qualifiers. That means anybody can try to get into this bad boy. They will ultimately, I can guarantee they're going to have some of the top teams in the world playing for $100,000, and you may have your chance to get there. So if you're interested, there's not a lot of news yet. It was announced on Fnatic's website. You can actually go to esportal.com and check out their information, but it's sort of a developing thing. This is another question. Have you heard of eSportal prior to this, either Pimp or Peter Noob? Have you guys heard of this organization?
I didn't.
I hadn't either, no. So none of us have heard of it. I don't know them very well, and it's one of those things where you now run into the question, if an unknown organization pops up and says, hey, we're throwing $100,000 at everybody, how seriously do we take that? And are we worried at all about that $100,000 coming out at the end of the next tournament?
Oh, it's fine, I think for the European organizations, usually it's like, okay. I was doing some research, and of course I didn't hear anything about them so far, but it looks like they're legit and all that stuff, and backed by Aftonbladet SE, which is like a newspaper in Sweden,
Excellent.
They've got quite the online presence and stuff, and I know they did some StarCraft stuff, so I wouldn't be too iffy. The issue here is if you run open qualifiers, hopefully the dates are all set, because otherwise you won't get any of the top tier teams, and we had massive problems getting high tier teams in a $60,000 tournament.
Right.
Because there's so much saturation around this.
Right.
So.
The league is saturated, especially in this month or two after the lull from TI ends. Everybody's sort of rushing to get their dates solidified. Their team rosters are out, so now we start to see dates really fill up. So good luck to eSportal. It's nice to see a new tournament enter the field. I mean, honestly, anytime that much money is flushed into the system, it only helps to develop the sport. The question is it going to be a competition against another tournament that's already established, or are they going to find some dates that work for them? I encourage them to do the latter, because I'd love to see more money go towards the pockets of these players. Next big thing, the excellent Moscow Cup, which actually Pimp Muckle knows quite a bit about, as he is the contract caster for the English cast for EMC. And we had some bit of news with you guys, didn't we? Tinker, it looks like, withdrew from the tournament, and fortunately, I mean, for me, as a fan of Navi US, they're stepping in to fill in the role. So, with $60,000 on the line, why wouldn't they? Can we have any insight on maybe why Navi withdrew, or is that all super secret hush-hush, and we just have to be excited about Navi US?
Nah, Team Tinker, so what happened there is basically someone... So, okay, I don't want to put this in a negative way, right? Because I have a lot of respect for managers. It's a really hard job, and usually they don't get too much at all. So what happens basically this. Team Tinker is a new form team. They were playing I-League. We contacted them, and we are like, hey guys, if you want to stay together, we totally have a tournament here, and we can give you a spot. So they were like, yes, perfect. We do it. So we are like, okay, well, Team Tinker, it's nice, to watch them. It's probably good to have them in our tournament. It fits our general idea of who we want to invite to this tournament, because we want to get some top tier teams. We want to get some of the. I mean, this is a Russian tournament. Of course, they want to develop the Russian scene. This is why you see Relax there, Moscow 5, Power Rangers. Those teams who aren't just like Tier 1, but they can be. This is of course. From the Russians. So Team Tinker, great invite. And then they see, well, our manager signed us up for WC qualifiers or something like this, and I-League qualifiers, and this and that, and the other stuff. And now we play this, and also that. And now we can't scrim anymore. We can't test our ideas, which we have. And there is going to be a patch coming out, so you have to scrim. There's no way you can only play official games. You have to do something with it. You have to figure it out. And this is why they asked us, I mean, sorry, but we kind of want to drop this, and we're like, yeah, let's see if you find someone, and yeah, sure, it worked.
Excellent. So at least they did it the right way. They came to you. They asked for the drop. Navi US happy to step in. Could definitely use the additional publicity. So Navi US steps in, and now we get a chance to see a North American team come into this Russian playoff and just show a little bit of an old-fashioned Cold War throwdown. So that should be a lot of fun to see that go on. I'm not mad about the withdrawal. I mean, I was enjoying watching Tinker as they developed, but I'm a fan of Narvi, so I figure all the better for me. So, guys, that just so you know that's going on. And while we're talking about the topic of this, what's up? What happened?
Oh, I just wanted to. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to announce this, but I can give you a teaser.
Do it.
So we want to have some Chinese teams in there, right?
Yes.
Like everyone knows it, and we had some
Yes.
issues there because Ace wasn't doing something we wanted them to do. They're just giving us some teams, but Ace actually got us something, and I can tell you that there is a team which won a TI.
Really? Well, we know it's not.
That.
Okay, so let's go back over the teams that have won TI. Let me see if I can find the website real quick so I can pull it up for people to actually look at, and we'll play process of elimination. While we do that, though, and I prep this out, let me ask you another question or two that I have put together. So you're doing these two major tournaments on Hitbox exclusively, right?
Right.
Now, it's interesting to me because we had a big issue about a week ago, not even a week ago, a couple of days ago, with a high-profile tournament for big teams playing on a brand new small broadcast platform called See Me Play, and it was what we'd like to call a debacle. Now, Hitbox, it really was though. Everything was down. They didn't have the bandwidth to handle it. It was
bad.
It was bad for them too. It just advertising. It was a giant throwaway of money. That said, though, Hitbox, I've been watching the tournaments. I even did one with you for the Bounty Hunter series, and I was blown away at the quality there. So let me ask you why it didn't work for See Me Play, but it's working so well for Hitbox.
Okay, so to understand this, we have to go back into the Hitbox history of the CTO. I met René at Gamescom. He is the guy who is coding everything pretty much what happens with Hitbox and the content distribution system, like how we encode, how if you send the stream to Hitbox, you know, something is going on and you can watch the stream in 720p 48p, which is called transcoding, and then you also have to publish this transcoded stream or the source stream to all people around the world.
Okay.
So there's like algorithms behind that, but also René, he was doing owned back in the day, like 10 years ago. He was doing owned TV. And we all know how this worked out, but this isn't like the issue with René. He was pretty much the first guy who ever did this. Like, he is one of the first guys who actually do something with live streaming in general and using RTMP, using, you know, content distribution systems.
Right.
And he's still up there. And this is, he saw his lifelong work go to waste in owned, and then he's like, fuck it. This is bullshit. I do it once again. With my longtime fan, not fan, but with my longtime friend of the CEO, and then he completely revamped the whole system, and he knows his shit. You know, it's not like you pay $100,000, you get in the industry, and you're like, hey, I need a programmer to do a streaming website, and of course you're gonna get someone. I mean,
Right.
if you put some money out there, someone's gonna come to you, but. No, this is not what happened. Here you have someone with passion, you have someone who's got a crap ton of experience, and you also have a team behind him, behind the CTO, which can actually just give him so much of a hand that he's going to be always in a good spot, has good, you know, coding principles and all that stuff. And this is, you can really see a platform where passion is, you know, the main purpose, and where money is just being thrown in. And I'm sorry, but of course it doesn't work if you just want to get 100,000 viewers in your first day of getting online. This is bullshit. You can't just throw money at the scene. I mean, come on, guys.
Absolutely. So I've seen what Pimp's done. The quality is really good over there. You've had a chance to talk with the guys who created Hitbox. You got to get to know them, which I think really got you solidly in their corner, more so than anything else. Like, if you guys know anything about the transition, a lot of folks are talking about, oh, Pimp went there because he got the sub button. But at the end of the day, he was there before the sub button ever showed up.
Yeah.
So,
Stops, buddy. Woo!
Right? Congratulations on that, $12. So
Yeah.
Pimp Muckle is there because he likes it. So if you had to sum up what Hitbox is in a sentence, would you say it's something like, and I've been toying around with this, is it something like passion, players, and production? What is it that makes Hitbox the next step away from Twitch?
Okay, I have to once again just, oh man, I'm eating so much of your time, I'm sorry.
That's fine.
The thing is, I'm always trying to go to the platform. I'm always trying to get the most production value I can out of my one PC setup. This is, you know, look at Gendoda, look at BTS. They're always using two PCs. One to game on, and you use this output. You put this output in another PC, and this other PC, the encoding PC, pretty much does the whole other job. And this doesn't work for me because I'm a student. I'm doing computer science, and I don't have the money for it, right? I mean, so I'm still trying to do the best production possible.
Mm-hmm.
And the best production possible is not only done by me, but also by the streaming website. On Twitch, there is a limitation of 3.5K bitrate, which is a good idea because, you know, it's okay to do a 720p stream on 3K bitrate. It's okay. It looks okay-ish. Now, to give you an example why 1080p streams aren't a good idea at 3.5K bitrate is, if you look at a Blu-ray, this is a 1080p movie, right?
Yes.
And it has something around 20K bitrate.
Really?
Now the thing is, if you have some 20K bitrate on a 24 FPS movie with motion blur enabled, and then you look at a stream where there's no motion blur, where there's like no 24 FPS, you need at least 30 to make it look acceptable, and then you have 3.5K bitrate, something's off. And the Hitbox guy is like, I talked to Rene, and he was like, yeah, sure, like you can use 5K if you want, because my internet has like 7.5K uploads, so I'm trying to use 5K. You can use more FPS as long as the transcoder actually eats it and doesn't produce artifacts. So I was trying, I was making some, you know, sure, everything is going to be all right. And in the broadcast, which is coming out in an hour, there is going to be the best stream ever to be streamed in the whole world of Dota.
Wow.
Like, this is going to be the best quality stream you guys ever saw, and I'm not exaggerating.
So
And this is, you know, just one more thing. Real quick.
yeah, go for
Sorry.
it.
I tried to talk to Twitch, right? When I was doing stuff for Dota Talk. Do you think I would have reached anyone ever? Like, not
no.
via Twitter,
I'm gonna
not
guess
via
no.
email. I didn't get jack shit. And then I came to Hitbox. I was just trying them because Twitch was down one day, and was like, yeah, sure. I mean, you can just stream the game on Hitbox so everyone can watch it, doing the community a favor. And oh, suddenly there was a CTO in my chat room. Suddenly there was a community manager there asking me if I need anything. Sorry, but this is community-driven stuff where I'm like, yeah, you know, they care for the community. And I'm sorry, but I didn't have this on Twitch. Maybe some had, sure, like just tournament organizers, but I didn't. Okay, now I'm done. Sorry for the rant.
That is perfectly okay. So the stream that you're starting in an hour, is that a personal stream or is that a tournament stream?
No, that is tournament stream. This is Excellent Moscow Cup, NVMI, the team of Goblak, and the boys against Virtus. We're going to have Navi versus Team Coast.
There you go. So I want to get you that little plug in there. Perfect. So check out the best stream in Dota, and that is From the Words of Pimp over on hitbox.tv/pimpmuckle in about an hour or so. So we want to finish up the show before that happens, so I'm going to move on to the next bit. And the next bit that we're going to talk about is a feature we do on Fridays called the Cosmetic Corner with Feeder Noob. Feeder Noob, who is the queen of cosmetics, we said earlier, has a brand new unboxing of the brand new chest out on YouTube. You can check that out. Is going to talk to us about the state of cosmetics. Let me turn it over to you, Feeder.
Hey, so I'm just going to point out there's a kind of hot item this week, which is the Scarlet's Quarry set for Tiny. It is the Star Ladder set, and I'm going to say it's kind of ugly, but it's... You know, it's very imposing looking. It does not count games watched, which is kind of a bummer. But
that's very unique for them. Don't they always kind of have that games watched vibe to their stuff?
Yeah, the Frozen Star Lich Jesus set definitely had that. The Entwined Fate set. I kind of miss it, but whenever you do a tiny set, you're basically doing 5 styles per item. So they can't really... 4 styles per item.
I see what you're saying. Because of the evolution. That makes sense.
It's a lot of work.
That is a lot of work. Is it weird to you that this set looks a little bit phallic in nature?
The Red Rocket Scepter you're talking about?
Yeah, the giant Red Rocket Scepter. You can't see it in this picture, but guys, go check it out on the on Dota store. It's a little bit ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a little bit awkward. Star Ladder kind of has a thing for sets that are unique looking.
That's true.
If not beautiful, so give them that.
Fair enough.
The chest you're referring to is actually a promo chest from Nexon, so you can't buy that in the store.
Uh-oh.
You can get it on the Steam Market, and it comes with a pretty sick Invoker set. For those of you who like styles, each item has a style for Quaswex and Exort, so
wow.
I would recommend getting that. It's great for mixing and matching.
And that's the Sinister Lightning set?
Yes, it is.
All right, so I've got that pulled up for those of you who are watching live. For those of you who aren't, you can check out the unboxing just to follow up from Peter Noob earlier. What else you got for me?
So I was watching Navi versus Alliance yesterday, and Funnick is walking around with the Orb of Reminiscence, which is the Alliance puck set hat. I don't know if you guys know this, but it actually has a picture of the $1 Million Dream Coil in it. So I found that pretty amusing. He's not bitter.
Nice.
He is not bitter. Another thing I noticed is Navi is no longer using the Weasel Crow right now. They have switched to a Burning Doom Azuramir courier.
Isn't that FNG's? I don't know. That's Vanscore's standard car, isn't it? It's from the
That is
Outriders.
Vanscore's. Yeah, he's renamed it Sixth Player of Navi, which is pretty cute, but I find it funny that the Weasel Crow is still available in the store and they're not using that. So I'm
Interesting.
wondering what their sponsors feel about that.
Little change of marketing there. And so you also sent me pictures of 2 couriers that I absolutely love one of them. Where are these 2 couriers from?
So Jumo is the little cute sprite courier. That is the bonus from the Fractured Prisms chest, which is the Nexon promo chest I was talking about. There is a little bit of a controversy about that for the anime appearance. People felt it was not appropriate for Dota 2. But to compare, the Vici Vigilante Foxes are pretty anime themselves.
Yeah, so here's a comparison. I'll put it up on the screen for you. That it already exists, so why not? I thought Jumo was more of a nod towards Alice in Wonderland when I look at it, but I can see the anime influence as well. I'm a big Alice in Wonderland fan as a kid, so I thought that career was amazing.
It's pretty adorable. It doesn't look great in-game because the face is kind of the shining part of that and it's not visible.
Right.
But the preview is very cute.
Absolutely. Excellent. Are there any other cosmetic updates you want to hand to us before we move on?
Sure. A couple things have been added to the schema that I think are worth looking forward to. One is the Dark Gabriel set for Spectre, which looks kind of like an Aztec alien fallen angel. I think it looks absolutely incredible, and I hope they add that soon.
Absolutely. It does look really good. Nice change for Phoenix.
For Spectre, I think.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. And there's also going to be a techie dressed up as a Greevil courier, which is too amazing.
What?
What?
Yeah. It is a little techie in a hideous Greevil suit who is trying to get in with the Greevils.
That's
I'm going to pay whatever it costs when it comes out.
That's pretty hilarious. I don't think I got a picture of that one to show you guys, but I'm excited about when that one does show up. That should be highly entertaining.
Yeah, keep an eye out for that. Naughty Nilbog.
Nice. Naughty Nilbog. All right, guys, so that's your cosmetic update for Friday. A lot of new sets. We'll go back over the pictures real quick. And like I said, if you weren't here for the pictures and you want to see the Nexon unboxing as well as other things that Feeder Noob has done, where can they find your YouTube channel?
Just search Dota 2 Feeder Noob on YouTube and you'll find me.
You'll find her. She unboxes for the thousands. So glad to have you on the show today, Feeder. It's always wonderful having you stop by for the little featurette. Now we're going to move into a very quick profile where we're going to pick what games to watch today. For those of you who don't know what's going on, First Departure is already playing Johnny's Revenge over in Starladder. We've got Speed versus LGD in the WEC happening in about 30 minutes. That should be a pretty good one. Let's see, what else are we looking at today? We've got the... well, I should ask you what games you pick, but I know which 2 you're going to pick because of the Moscow Cup. The Virtus Pro game is going to be really, really strong. Coast versus Na'Vi, I am very excited about. That's probably my pick of the day, though I also am fairly excited about seeing Power Rangers Compass, which I know doesn't sound like teams that you often are excited to see, but both have a very similar aggressive play style, and I think that that's going to be a barn burner of a match. So what are your picks for the day, Pimp?
Well, I have to say. So, okay, let me say I'm not gonna be talking about DMC because obviously I would pick those. But so far, PR against Compass. If Compass plays with VV once again, I'm a massive fanboy of his. Like he was under the name of what was it? Burn Your Brain and Blower back in the Honda. So I was absolutely just watching him day in, day out because he was pretty much the best player there is from the CS scene. So yeah, Compass PR should be pretty good. I think PR are gonna do it. Seriously, I feel like they should be, but at the same time, well, you never know. And then also, Starlet has NBMI versus Navi EU, and there might be some pretty crazy strats Goblet can pull out because, well, he was Navi's coach. So,
That's
yeah,
true. That's
those are
true.
my games.
And I will say, guys, as far as I usually cover on the Dota 2 Lounge, I just give you my pick of the day for where your best shot at possibly getting a couple of rares is, and my pick for the day is that game that was just brought up by Pimp, NVMI versus Navi. It's a 31 to 69 ratio right now, which means that Navi has a massive favorite, but NVMI, like Pimp just said, is known to pull some things out, play some pretty aggressive picks, and used to be the coach for Navi. So
And
a
it's
great
best of one.
opportunity. And it is a best of one. You want to bet on best of ones, FYI. Bet on the best of three. You have a way smaller chance of walking home with the items. So the best of one, that's my pick for the day. It should be a good game as well. It starts in about 3 hours, so get over there and make your bets. I think that will, if anything, the stats will move more towards the favor of Navi in terms of the percentages as we get closer to the game. So if you want to wait to the last hour to place your bets, you'll probably end up with a 20-80, to be completely honest, from my experience. So those are my picks for the day. Guys, we don't have time to go into the real world news, so we're going to move past that segment as we've already gone a little bit over. A big thanks to our guests today, Pimp Muckle and Feeder Noob. Feeder, do you have any final thoughts or tell us something about where we can find you before we sign out?
You can find me at Feeder Noob, and as I usually say, happy Dota.
There you go. And Pimp, it was great having you on the show. We appreciate you taking time out of your busy prep schedule for the tournament. Any parting thoughts for us as we head out this afternoon?
No, thanks for having me. It was fun.
Sorry, you got me. I almost spit out coffee because that was pretty entertaining. You can find him.
Thank you, Mark.
You can find him over on Twitter at PimpMuckle, and you can find him obviously on Hitbox.tv. /PimpMuckle. I know it's hard to reprogram. Twitch has us all in a chokehold, but you can find him at Hitbox/PimpMuckle this afternoon for some really great games. Head over there and check them out. They're going to be really high quality streams. That said, guys, my name, as always, Toffees. You can find me at Toffees_Dota2. We've got all kinds of stuff going on. We've got a podcast. It'll be up in about 45 minutes or so straight to your phone. SoundCloud has an RSS feed set up, so we can link that. You can get that from the site and have it sent to your Android. We're going to be on YouTube after this, and obviously we'll tweet out everything as it happens. So thanks for joining us. I hope you enjoyed the show as much as I did. A big thank you again to the guests. We're going to cut the stream to avoid the copyrights and then play some music and stick around in Twitch for a little while to chat with those who are listening. If you're listening on the radio show or the replays, guys, we appreciate the downloads. Keep them coming. And as always, Toffees out.